Welcome to Twisted Truths, your go-to destination for chilling true crime stories, meticulously condensed into gripping 10-minute episodes. Today, we're examining the West Memphis Three case in exhaustive detail. A group of teenagers convicted of murder in 1994 and their eventual release from prison after years of legal battles. We'll present you with an in-depth analysis of the events, allowing you to draw your own conclusion about their guilt or innocence. On May 5, 1993, the small town of West Memphis, Arkansas, was shaken by the gruesome discovery of three brutally murdered 8-year-old boys, Christopher Byers, Michael Moore, and Stevie Branch. Their bodies were found naked and hog-tied in a drainage ditch in the wooded area known as Robin Hood Hills. The boys had been severely beaten, and Christopher Byers had been castrated. The brutality of the crime shocked the community and demanded immediate action from law enforcement. The initial investigation was fraught with missteps. The crime scene was not properly secured, leading to contamination of evidence, and potential witnesses were not interviewed in a timely manner. Key pieces of evidence, such as the boys' bikes and clothing, were mishandled or overlooked. The police focused on a theory that the crime was part of a satanic ritual, which ultimately led them to the West Memphis Three. Damian Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miskelly Jr. became the primary suspects in the case, known as the West Memphis Three. They were teenagers who were seen as outsiders in the community due to their interest in heavy metal music, the goth subculture, and alleged involvement in satanic rituals. Locals were quick to label them as devil worshippers, further fueling suspicion. An anonymous tip claimed that Eccles had been overheard bragging about the murders, which led the police to question him and his friends. Meanwhile, the media was quick to jump on the satanic ritual angle, creating a frenzy that would influence the investigation and trial. On June 3, 1993, Jesse Miskelly Jr., who had a low IQ and was considered borderline mentally retarded, was interrogated for over 12 hours. He eventually confessed to the crime and implicated Eccles and Baldwin. However, his confession contained numerous inconsistencies and factual errors about the crime. Miskelly later recanted, claiming that his confession was coerced by the police. Despite the inconsistencies in Miskelly's confession, all three teenagers were arrested and charged with the murders. The trials took place in 1994. The prosecution relied on Miskelly's confession, testimony from witnesses who claimed the three were involved in satanic rituals, and the alleged presence of a knife belonging to Eccles near the crime scene. The defense argued that there was no physical evidence tying the West Memphis Three to the crime, and that the crime scene had been contaminated by the police. The defense also questioned the credibility of some prosecution witnesses and highlighted the inconsistencies in Miskelly's confession. During the trial, the prosecution introduced evidence of the defendant's interest in the occult and alleged satanic rituals, using this to suggest a motive for the murders. The defense, however, argued that these interests had no bearing on the case and were irrelevant to the question of guilt. The jury, influenced by the sensationalism surrounding the case and the fear of satanic cults, found all three defendants guilty. Eccles was sentenced to death, while Baldwin and Miskelly received life sentences. The 1996 HBO documentary Paradise Lost: The Child Murders at Robin Hood Hills brought national attention to the case. It raised questions about the lack of evidence, coercive interrogation tactics, and the possibility of a miscarriage of justice. Public outcry and support from celebrities like Johnny Depp and Eddie Vedder led to a re-examination of the case. In 2007, new DNA evidence was discovered that could not be linked to the West Memphis Three. This evidence included hair samples from the crime scene that matched the stepfather of one of the victims and a friend of the stepfather. Additionally, new witnesses came forward to discredit the original testimonies, and forensic experts re-evaluated the crime scene, suggesting that animal predation could explain some of the injuries sustained by the victims. In August 2011, the three men were released after entering Alford pleas, which allowed them to maintain their innocence while pleading guilty in the eyes of the court. They were sentenced to time served and released. Since their release, alternative theories have emerged, pointing at other potential suspects. Some believe that Terry Hobbs, the stepfather of Stevie Branch, may have been involved due to his DNA being found at the crime scene, his history of domestic violence, and allegations made by his ex-wife and other family members. Others think that the murders may have been committed by a different local resident with a history of violence, or even a transient passing through the area. Another theory involves a possible connection to a local drug trafficking ring, suggesting the boys may have accidentally stumbled upon illegal activities in the woods. Despite their release, some people still believe that the West Memphis Three were responsible for the murders, pointing to Miss Kelly's supposed confession and the alleged satanic rituals as evidence of their guilt. However, many argue that the confession was unreliable due to Miss Kelly's low IQ, inconsistent statements, and the coercive nature of the interrogation. Furthermore, the satanic ritual theory has been largely discredited as sensationalism based on the defendant's appearances and interests, rather than hard evidence. It's worth noting that the West Memphis Three case occurred during the satanic panic of the 1980s and 1990s, when fears of satanic cults and ritual abuse were widespread in the United States. The lives of the West Memphis Three were forever altered by their convictions and imprisonment. After their release, they struggled to adjust to life outside of prison and to rebuild their reputations. They've become advocates for criminal justice reform and have worked to raise awareness about wrongful convictions. Damien Eccles has written a memoir, Life After Death, detailing his experiences on death row and his fight for justice. Jason Baldwin co-founded the nonprofit organization Proclaim Justice to help other wrongfully convicted individuals, and Jesse Miskelly has maintained a low profile, focusing on rebuilding his life. The case of the West Memphis Three remains a haunting and unresolved mystery. The true killer or killers have never been definitively identified, and the families of the victims continue to search for answers. Efforts to find new evidence and pursue alternative leads have continued, but the case has yet to be officially reopened. The West Memphis Three case highlights the importance of a fair and unbiased justice system and serves as a reminder that wrongful convictions can have long-lasting consequences. The media played a significant role in the West Memphis Three case. Local newspapers and television stations contributed to the sensationalism surrounding the alleged satanic rituals, creating an atmosphere of fear and mistrust. The media's portrayal of the West Memphis Three as dangerous and deviant individuals may have influenced public opinion and the jury's verdict. The HBO documentaries, Paradise Lost series, and later West of Memphis, 2012, helped raise awareness of the case and brought attention to the potential miscarriage of justice. The West Memphis Three case serves as an important reminder of the potential flaws within the criminal justice system. The rush to judgment, the reliance on unreliable evidence, the coercion of confessions, and the influence of public opinion can all contribute to wrongful convictions. The case also highlights the importance of proper crime scene investigation and the impact of media coverage on public perception. The families of Christopher Byers, Michael Moore, and Stevie Branch have suffered unimaginable pain and loss as a result of the murders. Some of the victims' families continue to believe in the guilt of the West Memphis Three, while others have come to believe in their innocence and have joined the fight for justice. The search for the truth and for closure continues to be a painful journey for these families. The Alford plea that allowed the West Memphis Three to be released has been criticized by some for not fully exonerating the men, while others argue that it was a necessary compromise to secure their freedom. Since their release, the West Memphis Three and their supporters have continued to push for full exoneration and for the case to be officially reopened so that the true killer or killers can be brought to justice. The West Memphis Three case has left a lasting impact on the lives of those involved and on the criminal justice system as a whole. It has inspired numerous documentaries, books, and films, and has become a symbol for the fight against wrongful convictions. The case serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of prejudice, misinformation, and the rush to judgment, reminding us of the importance of a fair and unbiased justice system that upholds the principle of innocent until proven guilty. The case of the West Memphis Three is a complex and troubling story of a horrific crime, a controversial trial, and the lingering question of whether justice was truly served. With the facts presented, it's up to you, the viewer, to decide whether you believe the West Memphis Three were guilty or not. Thank you for watching this comprehensive analysis of the West Memphis Three case. If you found this story compelling, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave a comment with your thoughts on the case. Stay tuned for more true crime stories and unsolved mysteries.